consisting of myself and Joe and Skip and Kurt. Will is on. And then we have two additional people. If you could identify yourselves. David?
Yes, this is David Higgins. I'm actually sitting in East Tennessee. I'm originally from the area, and I'm good friends with Steve Swain, and we were curious about this meeting tonight.
And is Steve Swain the other Steve that I see on the screen?
Yeah, that's me.
And where are you sitting, Steve?
I'm down in Harwich, but I own the Frying Pan Gallery right on the harbor.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. Administratively, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of meeting from our last meeting, which was held on January the 19th.
Chris, I think we're starting with announcements.
Oh, you're right, Joe. You are right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I have one. Chris and I pursued the issue of dredging before October 1st. And the answer is no, due to federal and state regulations.
The, excuse me, I updated the action item list to capture that as well, so that it's captured there for future reference.
Anybody else have anything under announcements, open session, or public comments? Okay.
Okay, now we'll move on to minutes of meeting. They were sent out previously, so hopefully people have had a chance to review them, but if you like, you can take some time now, and when people are ready, we can entertain a motion to approve.
I really didn't have any comments. The minutes look fantastic. I don't know if anybody else did, but I would move to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Opposed, say nay. Passes 4-0. Next item is the status of the contract for permit assistance, specifically the lobbyist. Joe, if you could give us an update on that, please.
Well, the select board approved the proposal as well as the contract and directed the town administrator to implement it. That was a week ago, last Tuesday. And on Friday, I emailed the town administrator asking for an update to get that contract out. And I've not heard back from her yet. I did speak with a lobbyist. He's all ready to go, but needs a contract.
Okay, any other comments with respect to the lobbyist? All right, we'll move on to the status of upcoming RFPs. And just as a reminder, there's two flavors. One is to support us in our regulatory efforts, which includes the amended permits for the LPIR and also some assistance, technical assistance for grant. And then the engineering services necessary to support next year's dredging, meaning the drawings and ultimately putting together the RFP for construction bids. We sent the draft language that the dredging task force had approved at the last meeting. We sent that on to the town administrator. As of late last week, she was checking to see what the next step was. Will, do you have any update on this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I think on both these two items, Joe and I will follow up tomorrow with Maria. They really are a critical path for our successive activities.
Yeah, in that case, don't you have to, we're hoping that we have a person on board. I know the town administrator, I believe, is trained on making these RFPs, but we would hopefully have an accountant, I think, like Mike Delato.
Have a what?
That we have an accountant that would be able to also be able to prepare one of these documents.
Yeah, no, I could picture that, particularly because the draft language is pretty mature. It's, I think it just needs to be put on official town letterhead and posted accordingly and uploaded to the site. So we'll have to follow up on it because it is delaying everything else or many of the items activity. I had sent out the schedule wherein I put a vertical line for February 1st. Anything to the left of the line is behind schedule. And these two activities are clearly behind schedule compared to what we feel we need to do for the 2021 dredging.
Yeah, well, the TA is a facilitator of that, and she knows the process. So we'll follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is an update on the permit activity. Joe, maybe you can
Just
go
a
ahead.
question, Chris, because, given the fact that, Mike had been doing all that stuff and he's the, I'm not sure that Maria has the accreditation to be the chief procurement officer. So at the moment, I'm not sure who the chief procurement officer of the town of Wellfleet is. And so we're in a vacuum. Will, do you know anything about what might be going on in terms of that?
No.
No, we're going to follow up on it tomorrow, and we'll get it defined, Kurt.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious too, because there's obviously a lot of things going on in the town, not just Dredge Task Force, but others. So I'm kind of sharing from other points of view too. I've got some other things that are in the mix, and including grant writing. I know that this project has significant needs for grant writing capacity. The 95 Lawrence Road project has significant needs for grant capacity. And it's unclear right now who in the town of Wellfleet is going to be coordinating that.
Yeah, Kurt, I was under the understanding that the first week she was here, she went through the process of getting herself licensed by the state of Massachusetts for that role. But maybe it never occurred.
Well, we're going to
Yeah,
find out.
right now, yeah.
Find out and clear it up. Oh, on the permit activity, our engineers have sent a rather lengthy file to the Army Corps of Engineers on the entire permitting arena from the beginning of it up until now. And they are in the process of reviewing it. And then we are going to be having a discussion with them soon. So when they finish reviewing that, I'm told that we'll know by the end of this week, when that next step will take place. Chris, the status of the state program?
Yeah, the status on this one, and this speaks to the very first grant that we have to do this year. It looks like it will be due to be submitted to the state in mid-March. I forwarded a note I got from Nicholas Bullens. He said they expect to upload the 2021 application in mid-February and allow 4 weeks for the application. So that puts us mid-March. He also acknowledged that the application from year to year isn't going to change very much. The content will only in regards to updating it for an additional year. The one we did last year captured the data for fiscal years 18 and 19. So we'll have to roll that forward and capture the data for fiscal 19 and 20. I sent out those 19 pages. Will, have you had a chance to look at it? Some of it may remain unchanged, but some of it will require an update for the new fiscal year or the most recent completed fiscal year.
Yeah, that won't be a problem.
Okay, and likewise, Nancy, when you see her,
Yeah.
I think it's all data that she has pretty readily available.
Yeah,
But the key message is it looks like it's going to be due in mid-March rather than end of March. So we need to stay on top of it. I think what we'll do, everyone consolidate, capture their comments and edits. And then as soon as we get the new application, we'll have to populate it, much of it with the old stuff and obviously with the stuff that has to be updated for the new year. But we'll do that to the new application. Okay, that takes us to, we wanted to have a discussion on piling replacement, although we were hoping especially for Alfred's participation. What we're talking about, and we've talked about it in the past, is replacing the piles along the slips in the north access channel. There's somewhere around about 100 of them there that are visible. There's some broken off nubbins that would have to be replaced. So we think at the end of the day, there'll be 100 to 110 new piling to go in there. But we did want to have a discussion this evening about the best type of piling to go in there for longevity. And I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that or any thoughts on the most recent replacements, whether they stood the test of time or not.
Chris, my thought was that I agree with you that it'd be kind of silly not to have Alfred involved, and we might want to table it so we can have a robust discussion. I'm sure Will has some thoughts and other folks will have some thoughts on it, but probably for a really robust discussion, it would make sense to table it.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep it on the agenda for our next meeting so that we cover it. Number 8 is potential grant submittals. And we had talked previously about engaging a grant writer. Joe, you have an update on this, I believe.
Alice Boyd and her company have done grant writing for the town in the past. I spoke with her today. They are overwhelmed with work on municipal block grants. And she did not know of anybody around who would be appropriate to write a grant for dredging. I did identify another guy off Cape who's done a lot of municipal grant writing, and I sent him the application. He's reviewing it and is going to get back to us. In the meantime, we learned of GEI as a person who does grant writing. And looking at the 15 pages of the grant, they require some very specific technical information. And GEI has quick access to all of that. And they're very familiar with the application, having done it before, and of the deadline. So as of now, those are the possibilities.
Yeah, and GEI did the one last year for us. In fact, they, if I remember right, not just maintained the master file with the appropriate attachments, they actually submitted it electronically on our behalf. Is that, Will, is that your recollection as well?
Of the last grant?
Yeah, the one that we submitted in 2020. I think GEI actually uploaded it electronically, if I remember right.
Yeah, I submitted it to Nicholas in Housing and Economic Development after we wrote that. GEI, myself, and Nancy put most of the time in on that, going back and forth with it, and then gave it directly to them.
Right. So although we don't have a grant writer for this, I think we're in good shape. We, like I said, we'll just update it, and having done it last year.
They did tell us that they were very pleased with the one we gave them last year.
Yeah, no, I thought it was well done. While we're still talking about grants, the next one up, and we can talk the timeline at our next meeting, would be for the SEC, Seaport Economic Council. And what we envision submitting for, subject to further discussion and additional details, would be for the piling replacement, and also for the some of the engineering and design work, and not just for the piling replacement, but for the dredging as well. I believe both of those are eligible for an SEC grant. So we'll be taking a look at that in the near term and starting to gather the information and the stuff appropriate for the application.
Just to back up for half a second, Will, did GEI really do much of the grant writing, or was it really that you and Nancy?
No,
In other words, who did the work?
we all played a pretty heavy part in that.
So it's collaborative. They were, okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is just in terms of, resources, what, if anything else, that we need to be thinking about?
For that specific grant, I think we have most of it pretty well narrowed down.
Okay. Terrific.
Anything else on grant submittals? All right, we take a quick look at the action item list, which I did update. Part of it was, as I mentioned earlier, I updated the details on what the time of year restrictions are. We had talked previously about what precludes going past December 31st. I think we're well aware of what that restriction is. And then also what, if anything, precludes us from starting before October 1st. So I've added that. And then I had added the two items, 39 and 40, having to do with the RFPs that, again, we spoke about earlier. We need to get those out. Does anybody have either any comments or new items that we should add to the action item list? Okay. Any other business before we talk about our next meeting?
I
David,
just had one
David?
comment. I know we had at prior meeting talked particularly about losing time in the as we move forward. And we already, looks like we have a slowdown on writing the grant capability. So I just want to put that on the board again, that's a concern, because every week that we lose between now and the 1st of October creates, back to even before, the releases have to be ready at least 2 weeks before, so that we already have engaged with a dredging contractor. So the application that Will put together a year ago is excellent. It's in really good shape, so it won't take us a lot to get that going. But these RFPs, we've got it nailed down. I know, Joe, you're already going to set up to talk to Maria, but you need to let her know something about the basis of our concerns, that we don't lose time like we did last year.
That's the plan, Skip, starting tomorrow morning.
I'm also going to reach out to, it just occurred to me with Mike Travato leaving, his new position is, as the basically the chief executive of a sailing program. And between now and the time that they get real busy, I was going to reach out to him on a number of other items to see if he might be interested in doing some grant writing. He was very successful with the Mass Works grant for the water main addition that's going from the Coles Neck wells up Briar Lane. So he was successful in getting that. It's about $2.6 million. I don't know if he'd have some interest in maybe looking at one of these other ones. I was going to approach him about some other things. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'll at least reach out to him and see if he's got any interest and certainly report back.
Okay. Before we talk about the next meeting, any other questions either from David or Steve, or I see Suzanne Thomas has joined?
I don't have any questions. I just kind of wanted to sit in on this and hear what you folks were thinking about this, the harbor black custard problem. And Steve and I were interested, but you'll probably hear more from us later.
Yeah, I assume you're aware that we managed to get the channel dredged. The Army Corps dredged the channel and the federal anchorage, and the town was able to start and dredge 36,000 cubic yards in and around the El Pier area.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Yeah, we clearly have 2 seasons ahead of us.
I have a question about that.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out how do they determine that job was done? Is it yards of material removed, or is it time?
Well, the pay is on yards removed in the specified area. So just before they start dredging, they do a survey. They do a pre-dredge survey, and then when they finish, they do a post-dredge survey, calculate the difference, and that's the basis for payment. They don't get paid if they inadvertently go below the overdredge of 1 foot. The idea of the overdredge is primarily recognition that the capability of a large dredge is not down to 1/8 of an inch. So but it's the pre-dredge and post-dredge survey that determines the work that was actually done.
Is there any follow-up done down the road, even as soon as now, to see if the dredging has been successful in removing material and it not being replaced by material moving with the tide?
No, we'll get that indirectly or directly next year when we start again and do the pre-dredge. We still have 12,000 yards in the El Pier area, so we'll end up with a pre-dredge survey of that area. From that, we would have the data available to see what the movement has been since this year.
Thanks.
I think we're looking at the 15th, Chris, for the next meeting.
Yeah, does that work for everybody? Monday, February 15th at 7 p.m.
Okay,
Going once, going twice.
all right. Thank you, everybody.
Anna, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we resume. We abandon this particular meeting. And that's the one for 1st of February, 2021.
All right. We need a second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 3, 4. Opposed, say nay. Passes 4-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for being so efficient.
7:28, but who's counting?
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.